Mr. Dore, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm really good, and you?
I've been well, mate. Thought we'd get you back on to have a chat all things cybersecurity. There was an article about Costa Rica getting absolutely slammed by ransomware,
Hmm.
and it's real now. Like we're talking about theoretical threats, and now we're talking about real attacks in cyber warfare. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm familiar slightly with the Costa Rica example, and shares a lot of commonalities with other infrastructure that's been attacked by ransomware, and this Conti group that has perpetrated this against in support of Russia's international
Mm.
endeavors. Um, this Conti group has attacked a nation state in that name and has brought the Costa Rican government to its knees. I read one article that said that of these national bodies in Costa Rica, many of them don't even have a cybersecurity resource, not even
It's crazy.
one. Yeah, it's
Crazy.
crazy. And then actually, even if you had one guy or girl who's responsible for kind of the cybersecurity dimension of what that body does, will it do any good?
Yeah.
Uh, and it comes back to, it's hard to hire in the skills to protect yourself against these things. And even
Mm.
if those skills were good enough, could you afford them? And it
Mm.
comes into kind of the world of managed services. And do we have a managed service for government? I mean, that's just one aspect. Hiring a organization that focuses entirely on cybersecurity and lends their skills on a kind of a subscription service, if you will.
Mm.
I think that bears some scrutiny around potential mitigations. And I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, right?
Apple's been in the news recently. M1 chip's an amazing chip. M2 just got released, but there was a hardware flaw called Pac-Man that can't be patched. Tell me your thoughts about that and possibly, what's happened in the past with regards to these hardware flaws, my friend.
From what I've read about the M1 vulnerabilities, that it's actually unpatchable from
Yeah.
the Apple side of things, and it just widens that exposure. And it's just a really, really difficult challenge when you release a million zillion chips out there. They're in everyone's devices, and how do you get that back?
I think you can't even blame us. Like innovation's a crazy thing. You want to do better, but the
Yeah,
risk of actually doing something innovative might be introducing other flaws as well. So.
yeah, you got to be careful out there, right?
Mate, I'm going to move on to something a little bit closer to home. I'm going to read a full paragraph for you. It's about
Yeah, go.
our advice.
Oh yes.
Cybersecurity risk forms a significant risk connected with conduct of the business and provision of financial service. It is not possible to reduce cybersecurity risk to zero, but it is possible to materially reduce cybersecurity risk through adequate cybersecurity documentation and controls to an acceptable level. Now, I'll give the people a little bit of context. This was our advice as a financial advisory that got fined by the government with regards to not being able to adequately protect their customers. So with regards to that statement, my friend, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, the statement, I think, was the judge in the
Hmm.
court case that had said this. And there's two things there, right? It's one is when you're in the public eye and the government has come out and said what this judge has said, things have got to be pretty bad on your
Mm.
side. And then the second is think about the precedent, the precedent that it would establish for other organizations who are found to be woefully lacking in the cybersecurity area. I kind of agree with what the judge says. It's not possible to reduce your cybersecurity risk to zero. That is true. But even if they had just spent, or had at least prioritized it a little, would it have done much good if the executive of this organization had no priority in cybersecurity? Open question.
And with that, I would love to get you back on to have a couple of cracks
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
new topics next month, mate. I think lots of things for people to think about with cybersecurity. It's not just the standard. I mean, if you just think the government just gave grants for certain areas to have surveillance cameras because they deemed it higher risk. Same thing can be said about everything in cyber digital world that we
I
talk about
fully
now,
agree, my friend. Fully agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was good to see you, Tony.
So we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.